Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I am Abe with MysticGenMara.com, a small town mystic from the middle of Idaho. And tonight, whenever you see this, I would like to offer the elemental energy reading for the element of air for February of 2024. Now, these messages are timeless, so if you're watching this be well outside of February or 2024, there's probably still something that you can get out of it. So, I read intuitively, so the messages that come through may be a little bit different than what you're used to, or what the cards or I-Ching might normally mean. But we start with I-Ching, and I cast the hexagram beforehand. We go through the basic meaning and then each line, and see what my guides have to bring forward for you guys and gals out there. Yeah, make sure I get the right one. Okay, your air elemental hexagram is number 26, the Great Nourisher. The Great Nourisher favors righteous persistence. Good fortune results from not eating at home. It is a favorable time for crossing the great river or sea. So this is really about stepping into your authority, really being the best version of you that you can possibly be. And when they talk about like it's favorable time for crossing the Great River, these are those big challenges, those big things that you know you have to deal with. It's not a matter of, I can just ignore it. You know it's coming, it's something you're going to have to work through, deal with, whatever it is. It's not insurmountable, it's not a fear, it's just something you're not quite ready for. And what the message is saying when it says it's favorable time to cross the Great River or sea, that thing that you've been kind of putting off doing because you just don't feel like it's the right time, this hexagram is saying the month of February is a good time to really reassess what's going on there, and if necessary, this is the time to deal with it. So we'll start with the foundational line, the bottom line, and we have trouble threatens. It would be wise to bring activities to a halt. They're saying this is for the first part of the month, and the way the month is broken up, we're going to start our month on the 4th of February for each of the weeks, but this message is saying the first part of the month, the first 7 or 8 days, would be a good time to take that pause, do some reassessing. Doesn't mean to stop, it doesn't mean redirect, it just means maybe forward action isn't the best option. Our next line is a broken axle. So this is saying that if we don't take that pause, there's something that's going to trip you no matter what. So it's recommended to take that pause period so that there's not something that hiccups bigger down the road. Taking that pause, you might be able to dodge the issues. So our third line is a fine steed galloping. Persistence under difficulties will win advantages. It is better to be occupied all day with defensive measures. It is favorable to have a goal or destination in view. This is really about making sure that you have the right goals, and they're saying this is more middle of the month and following through to the end. So this is the first 2 lines were the first part of the month. This one is going on from that point into the end, and it's really saying this is where you have to push through the difficulties when you are crossing that great river or sea, that big problem that you didn't want to deal with. One foot in front of the other, keep moving. This month could be a little bit heavy, especially towards the end of it, but staying focused on moving forward and basically ignoring, pushing aside other people's concerns. As long as your goal is ahead of you and you know what your goal is, you've already discussed it with God, Source Divine, you worked with your guides and guardians, so this is where you're headed. Just keep one foot in front of the other. Everything will settle down and you'll basically achieve your goal, but it's not going to be handed to you on a silver platter. So our 4th line is the headboard of a young ox, sublime good fortune. When you have a strong-headed creature, an ox can be very strong-headed, and it says the headboard of a young ox. So you have a young ox generally paired with an older one to learn the ropes. This is really a time for, again, that slow and steady progress, but you have that youthful energy that wants to push forward. So you're getting a good balance of wisdom plus the youthful energy, and then you're getting what you want. You're getting your goals. It's coming in. It's just not as fast as you originally had thought it would be. So, for the 5th place, a gelded boar's tusk, good fortune. So, I'm not exactly sure what that gelded boar part means, but what they're saying is things are moving forward, and there may be a little bit of challenge, but the ball's in your court. Like, you have the ability to deal with this. The good fortune is pretty black and white. It's really just about you're in the right place, so no matter what else is going on around you, stay focused on the mission ahead. Let's see, there's a little note on that. So a gilded boar's tusk is an emblem of opportunity and good fortune. So basically, luck's on your side. Our capstone here is carrying in accordance with heaven's way. So this is saying you have been making your plans. You've been lining things up. You've been actually doing the work with meditation, with focused attention, and that means that heaven's way, God's source divine energy, is actually helping you out a lot more than you realized. You may not even be aware of just how much support you've been getting from the heavenly courts. And this particular hexagram is saying you've been getting a lot more support than you realize. You have to make sure that you're doing the work. It's not going to be handed to you. And my guides are saying this is part of character development. Air loves to think, analyze, and process through that aspect. This is a little bit about taking that knowledge, putting it into action, and really developing that deeper wisdom that comes from those two being combined. So through the rest of this month, first part, take it a little bit slower, because the rest of the month is going to be one foot in front of the other. Keep plodding ahead. Things are working in your favor. It just may not be as fast as you would like. So now we'll hop into the tarot and oracle cards. If you're interested in any of the books or cards I'm using, they're linked in the description down below, and by clicking through those links you do actually help support the channel, so that's very much appreciated. And I read week by week. Like I said, there's about 4 weeks in February. We're starting on the 4th for Sunday. Each week I read a guide or guardian, and that is a guide to help you through the week, or a guardian to keep the unpleasantness out of the way, and a message from source, which are just positive affirmations, support, some guidance maybe, and then we look at a lesson or challenge from the tarot, and it can be a lesson, something to work on that week, or a challenge, something from the outside that's coming in, just to give you a heads up on. So with that, we'll get started with our first guide or guardian for air elemental energy in February of 2024. We have forgiveness and understanding. So the first part of the month, the I-Ching said kind of take it slow, and the forgiveness and understanding is going to support that in understanding why things have to be the way they are, why the history of what you're working on, where you've come from, had to be that way. And when you come to an understanding, it allows you to offer forgiveness. That forgiveness can go for someone who has harmed you or perceived to have harmed you, because it can be two different things. And it's also about forgiving and understanding yourself. The angels that are coming forward with this card for this first week are saying understanding breeds compassion. This leads you to being able to accept what happened. It doesn't mean you have to like it. It doesn't mean you have to carry that energy forward. But you can accept that it happened. It's past. When you understand that it's past, you can forgive it and release the energy, the lesson you're going to take forward. Because if you don't do that, then you're going to repeat the lesson. So you want to bring the lesson forward, but leave the pain, the suffering, those emotional traumas in the past. That's that forgiving aspect. And they're saying this can be for somebody else, but most importantly, this is about making sure you forgive yourself as you move forward. We all do dumb things. And I'm throwing myself in this pile. We all do dumb things. The question is, Do you live in those dumb things? Or do you understand that that was a younger, a more naive aspect of yourself, and you forgive their naivety, you forgive their mistakes, because when you forgive even yourself, it allows you to move forward untethered from past baggage. So let's take a peek at your message from Source for Air Elemental Energy 2024. And we have prayer. Prayer is your talking to the divine. Meditation is when the divine responds. You're working with forgiveness, you're working with understanding, and divine is saying this is the time for you to ask for assistance. If you're struggling with processing some guilt and some shame and wondering how in the heart of hell can you actually offer forgiveness to this person, pray about it. Find out if there's something that you can do. You don't have to actually physically communicate with these people, by the way. If they've done you harm, stay away from them. But you can energetically release the ties, cut the cords that are binding you. And sometimes you may not feel like you're strong enough to do that. And when we pray to the divine and we ask for that guidance and assistance, the response tends to be pretty rapid, especially in this. When we do things in honesty, with clarity, it allows the universe to align to support us better. So working with that prayer is what God, Source, Divine Energy would like you to understand this first week. So your lesson or challenge from the tarot is the Five of Summer. Trust there is a reason for everything that happens. Remove yourself from the negative emotions. Focus on that which frightens or worries you. This card sums up the message from this first week. You have the angels of forgiveness and understanding. God, Source, Divine is saying pray about it, process it, work through it. The Five of Summer is saying don't dwell on this. Do the work, process it out, release it. She's saying when you have done a forgiveness exercise, unless another one is coming forward immediately to process at that moment, go do something else. Distract yourself. Do not focus on the negative. You're releasing this stuff. You're not bringing it forward so you can like roll around in the mud some more. You're bringing it forward to clear it and release it. You're not doing this to process. If you've already worked through a forgiveness and that one comes forward, maybe send a little bit more forgiveness that direction, because if it came forward again, there's probably a reason for that. But really don't hold on to this stuff. Don't dwell on the guilt and the shame, because that's not beneficial. And they're saying that if you are not comfortable going through this process alone, seek out an advisor, counselor, therapist that can support you as you process through this emotional state. So, first week's a little heavy. Sorry about that, guys, but that's what the messages are saying. And even the I-Ching said the first week was going to be a little bit about taking a pause and reevaluating. So, might not be a bad idea. Your second week's guide or guardian is healing energy. After that heaviness of the first week, it's time to process and heal. Emotionally, you've cleared out, meaning you might feel a little bit empty by the end of the first week. And in that second week, you have in the image here, it could be Archangel Raphael or any of the other healing angels that are stepping forward. They have the catechist in front of them. This is again referencing that bringing in the healing energy and bringing in that healing light. They are going to guide you through this next healing process. Even if you've only started a healing journey, which once you do, bad news, you never stop. Good news is you keep getting better. So the healing energies are coming in the second week to support you as you've just cleared out a bunch of heavy, more sludgy energy. And now you're moving into a much more positive and wholesome state. So let's see what Source has to offer for a little more guidance there. We have Presence. This one is an interesting card because when you look at the image, it looks almost spooky, but it's really about being present in the moment. You're not dimming your light because of someone else being like, you're shining too brightly, so you can't have that. You're protecting your light, your heart, your soul, that spark of the divine from the less than pleasant exercises or people and things that are out there. So when you are working through this healing energy, sometimes you have to pull away a little bit and put up your guard, be like, you know what, you just stay over there. I need to process some things. You don't have to say it out loud. Sometimes it's just, oh, we're going to go out to the fill in the blank place. You want to come with us? And you're not quite there, not mentally or emotionally. It is all right to say no. When you live in the now moment, sometimes things can get a little raw. But that also means you have the perfect opportunity to process them. So work with your healing angels the second week and really understand that the presence of now helps process the past. Because when you're here in the moment, the past isn't so scary. It's not so big and bulky that you can't handle it anymore. And that's the message coming through for the second week. So let's see what the tarot has to say. And we have the Eight of Autumn. Do more research before proceeding. Education in the form of seminars, going back to school, or apprenticing. Excellent craftsmanship, long-term projects. The lesson here is about moving forward. All of the things that are on the bottom of the card down here are talking about letting go of the past, using those lessons that you learned, but launching yourself into the future. So the Eight of Autumn is saying, yes, the first week, a little heavy. Second week, you're healing. When you heal, your lesson, and this may be a bit challenging as well, is to move forward. Don't dwell on the past. It's over. Process the emotions out. Use those lessons as a launching pad. My guides are saying this is really about a big leap forward for you. The I-Ching was talking about the first part of the month, first 10 days or so, was going to be a little bit heavy, a little bit slow going, and the tarot and the oracle are actually playing that out in a little bit more detail as to why it's about taking that pause and things aren't moving as fast. But by the end of the second week, the Eight of Autumn, with that supporting energy of moving forward, is saying it's time to start picking things up now. You've done some processing, and that's great. You worked through what was ready to be processed, and now it's time to take those lessons and move forward so that the next round of healing can be worked through. Your third week's guide or guardian is honesty and communication. These are the angels. Once you've processed this, you have to be honest with yourself. What did I learn? What have I let go of? How can I use this to communicate with my higher self, with my guides in a better way? But this is also about being honest and communicating with your mind, body, and spirit. Those are three different parts of ourselves. And how to be honest and communicate with others. Sometimes when we go through a healing process, we kind of shut off a everyday communication for a minute. We've all done that. And when that happens, you step into this really intense energy healing state where you're talking up here, but everyone else is communicating down here, where you're like, wait, you didn't understand a word I just said. So when you become honest and more communicative because you're healing, sometimes you have to catch yourself so that you don't talk over other people or take honesty to that brutal side of things, because that's not beneficial either. You can be honest and tell someone the truth without making it painful or harmful. Sometimes it needs to be that way, but you don't have to do that. So let's look at your message from Spirit, and it's solitude. Honesty and communication are huge. Being honest with yourself sometimes requires being alone. When you're surrounded by people telling you what to think, what to feel, what to do, it makes it a little bit more difficult to actually have that mind, body, spirit communication channels open. So solitude is what Source is saying is what is necessary to really understand, embody, and embrace honesty and communication. And you don't think about being alone, solitude, as a way to increase communication. But when you can be quiet within your own mind, being in solitude, you shut down the chatter. The monkey mind is at peace. You can hear what they're not saying when you are in a group. You can bring your mind to that quiet state, and this is tapping into nonverbal communication. What you speak, what you're getting from my words right now, is about this much of what is actually coming through. And when you're talking one-on-one with someone, over the phone specifically, try this exercise. When you're on the phone to someone, only listen to the words, not the inflection, not what you're getting as an impression, only the words. Because through a phone, you can't see them. So you really rely on these other aspects. But when you bring it down to just the words, notice how much you miss, just in general. Like a text message, you don't know tone, you don't know inflection, you don't know what the other person's face is. A lot of people will just type LOL when they send a message. They're not really laughing, they just thought it was cute, and that was as far as it went. But when you're in solitude, and you can shut down that noise in your mind, you can see through the words. You can understand what's really being said. It allows you to communicate on a much deeper level. Air, you love to communicate. You love accessing this. This third week is that intuitive side is stepping forward. You're being honest and you're communicating, but sometimes you have to step away so that the communication can become more clear. So, a lot of words there, sorry. We'll move over to the lesson or challenge from the tarot. And we have the Four of Summer. Being distracted and failing to see a magical opportunity, taking someone or something for granted, discontentment with life. Being alone, being in solitude is not a reason to stop. It is not a reason to get distracted. This concept of discontentment means, well, I'm not where I want to be. None of us are. Not one single person are where we want to be. Can you be content where you're at? When you tap into honest communication and you're working in a more solitary state, you can become very okay with where you're at. Doesn't mean you have to like it. It just means, you know what, I'm here. I've come a long ways, not quite where I want to be yet, but I'm heading that direction. The I-Ching talks about the last part of this month being one foot in front of the other. Things are coming in. It's not as fast as you would like it to be, but you're passing through a great trial, the great sea, river, however it was phrased, I don't remember now. But this is part of that. You're working through these things, and sometimes you have to go slow to a point where you almost stop to make those big leaps. And this third week is about a big leap in your awareness, in your growth, and your spirituality. And they're also saying, as you go through this, you're going to see the next steps in your goals and your missions and your drives much clearer. So let's see what the last of the week is, or the last of the month is for our air friends. And I'm going to grab a drink real quick. And we'll go into cut the cords. Last week of the month is all about clearing out. You've done the healing work, you've done processed forgiveness, you're more open, you're more honest, you're starting to see things clearer. Now that you're seeing clearer, you've been in solitude and you understand what works, what doesn't. You're not as distracted as you were. You've learned to control, it doesn't mean to mastery, but you learn to bring down some of the chaos in the mind. Archangel Michael and the angels of clearing are coming forward to say, let's cut the cords. You have released, through forgiveness, a lot of the energetic hold that this stuff had on you. Now it's time to cut that completely away. This fourth week is about really clearing things out completely. You've done the work, you've healed from the situations. This is the way to say, we're done here. If it's a person from the past, when you go through these cord cuttings, suddenly they just won't be as communicative, and that's not a bad thing always. Sometimes you might eventually down the road reconnect, that's fine, but right now it's really time to clean it. So you did the emotional work the first week, you healed and brought through a lot of that growth process the next 2 weeks. This last week, you're finalizing things, and that's kind of the way the I-Ching left it is by the end of the month, things are going to be in a much better state and things are going to be more focused forward. And that's what we're getting so far. Your message from Source is merriment. When you cut those cords, you feel lighter, you feel happy, you take joy in the simple things again. The imagination of playing, make-believe, like like a lot of us used to do. And then you've got like the simple toys, the old tops, and I can still hear that sound of the metal top as you pump the top up and down and it spin. But it's getting out of the everyday. Do something fun in this last week. Go to the movies, read a novel you've been setting aside because you have much more important things to do. Not this week. This fourth week is you've done a lot of the work. You've done the next steps. You're still moving forward. And the last 2 weeks are much more aggressively moving forward. But don't forget to have fun. Don't forget to tap into that inner child. Watch a comedy special and giggle like a school kid again. This is the time for releasing. You're cutting the cords. You've done a lot of the work, and now it's time to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Let's see what the tarot has to say for air in February of 2024. We have the Prince of Autumn, dependable, protective, chivalrous, and humorous. Cautious but wise action, meticulous attention to detail, kindness to others. You've done a lot of focused work this month. This last week, it's about kind of having more fun. You're still dependable because you're air and you're focused. You're protective because you don't want to lose the things that you've gained. Chivalrous means you know how to communicate properly, understanding people's place in the world and in your life. You also understand your place within the world and in your life. But you also know how to have fun. So it's that balancing of life, your work-life balance. This fourth week is really bringing that together. The first 3 weeks, first two especially, were a lot more pull away, be quiet. The third week, you're getting a little bit more social, but you're understanding the need for quiet time. This last week, you're finalizing a lot of the stuff that you worked on. And as you finalize it, that is setting a new foundation for you to launch forward from. And as the I-Ching said, things are going to work really well for you. They're just not going to go as fast. And this month's card reading is really tied into that. Week by week, you're building in intensity, but it's coming to a point where now you've leveled up. You're at a new floor. You've passed through a ceiling, and now you're at the next level, ready to project up and forward again. So, hopefully these messages resonate for you guys and gals out there. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button, drop a like on the video if you enjoyed this content, and comment away. Let me know what your thoughts, feelings, impressions are, and I will see you in the next video.